On this episode of Somerville Neighborhood News, the Green Line extension is back on track with some slight adjustments to the original plan. The City of Somerville forms a partnership with the Concussion Legacy Foundation to help prevent youth concussions. Marijuana is legalized in Massachusetts. A local nonprofit has received a $10 million grant to build a super school in Somerville. And SCATV invites its neighbors into the studio to record holiday greetings. All that and more coming up on Somerville Neighborhood News. Hello and welcome to Somerville Neighborhood News. I'm Joe Lynch. Today is Tuesday, December 20th, 2016. The Green Line extension appears to be back on track. New project manager John Dalton expects construction to begin in 2018 with the new Somerville and Medford stations opening in 2021. Earlier this month, Dalton met with the community to discuss the redesign, which includes name changes for two stations. The original Lowell Street station now becomes Magoon Square, and the Washington Street station is now going to be called East Somerville. The station designs will also be significantly streamlined to cut costs. In addition, the community path, whose completion was linked to the original plans, is now to be terminated at McGrath Highway and will not go all the way to the Boston Charles River path. Producer Peter Levine gives us the story.
On December 7th, a meeting was held at Somerville High School to discuss the Green Line extension progress and updates with the public.
There's clearly an extreme amount of public interest in this project, public support in this project, and if you're coming into a project environment like as I'm doing, that's what you want.
Of the many elements examined, the predominant topic was the community path. In the original Green Line extension plans, the community path was to lead to the Charles River path. The new plan leaves a gap of around 3,000 feet between the end of the community path at Washington Street and Leechmere Station.
The column on the left, previous design, and the redesigned scope is on the right. Distance is different, start and finish dimensions are different, width is effectively the same, and street access points have been reduced.
Over the course of the night, many residents advocated for the necessity to build the entire path for reasons ranging from safety to positive ecological and communal impacts.
So I think the 3,100 feet that aren't being built are the most important part. The only alternatives when you get off the path there is maybe take Washington Street to Rutherford Avenue. That's not very pleasant. Or the McGrath Highway, which is deadly.
So right now, the cost of the community path, the full community path, would be about 1% of the Green Line project budget, but it will produce 1/3 of the users. The estimated number of users of the Green Line extension is 9 to 10 million. A study done by the MAPC 3 or 4 years ago that about 3 million users per year of the community path. So 1/3 the users for 1% of the cost.
There's no safer bicycle facility than an off-road path. We have the community path. You've heard it many times, and I'm not going to be redundant here, but I'm just going to say that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get people safely from not only Somerville, not only Medford, but Lexington and Arlington and outlying areas, to get them not just to Somerville, not just to Cambridge, but to Boston, major employment centers, major commuting routes. By not extending the community path all the way to North Point, we are missing an incredible opportunity, and I will tell you right now, it's going to cost lives. We're talking about money versus lives, money versus safety.
The community path is a 2-mile path, and while it runs through Somerville, it's actually a regional project. It's not just a local project. The idea is that it will run for 4 stations along the future Green Line extension, but it will also connect the Minuteman and the Charles River paths. So there's 23 miles of Minuteman, there's 23 miles of the Charles River path network. If you plug those 3 in together, you get 48 miles of continuous path through 11 Boston area cities and towns. There have been many accidents where cyclists and pedestrians have died or have been injured by cars and trucks. It's very, very dense urban neighborhoods there's not one path that will take you towards Boston through these neighborhoods in a safe way, and the community path will provide that. We believe that if the missing link in the community path extension is not built as part of the Green Line, it may never be built in our lifetimes, because the community path and the Green Line, they share infrastructure, bridges, retaining walls, but also they're going to share heavy machinery. And there's going to be a lot of heavy construction machinery in this area where that missing link is, and it's an area full of tracks going different places. And it's going to be very hard to stop those operations again once the Green Line project has ended. The likelihood of building this community path link, this last leg, diminishes in a staggering way after the Green Line is built.
Project manager John Dalton, an avid bicyclist, conveyed that completing the path would be strenuous to the Green Line extension's budget. The community path, like many of the other elements of the Green Line extension project, would have to be scaled down in order to move forward.
I am aware that there is a great interest in this community path, but I think it's important to know that while the community path was affected, it was one of many things that were affected through this process.
Dalton has expressed that it is unlikely that the community path will be restored to its original length with the Green Line extension. However, he has agreed to bike the proposed path in January.
We've been lucky to have a lot of advocates at these meetings, but so far that has not turned the mind of the state. Perhaps we'll get lucky.
For Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Peter Levine.
In other Green Line-related news, the Board of Aldermen has approved the mayor's request to borrow $50 million for his promised municipal contribution to the project. The Board of Aldermen have expressed that this decision is vital for the Green Line extension's completion. In an effort to ensure the protection of athletes and families, the City of Somerville has recently formed a 3-year partnership with the Concussion Legacy Foundation. The partnership aims to make Somerville into a nationwide model for concussion prevention, education, research, and policy. We go to Jenny Fang for this report.
Concussions are serious. What has the City of Somerville been doing in combat against concussion in youth athletes? This September, the City of Somerville Parks and Recreation Department issued its new concussion policy for youth athletes. The most notable change is a required annual training for all department program staff, coaches, and volunteers who participate in organized youth athletic activities. The Director of Parks and Recreation of Somerville, Jill Linton, talks about details of the new policy.
Concussion Foundation reached out to us back in June and wanted to adopt a city to kind of do some concussion awareness and education and have a model city to kind of start this project off. And Somerville, it's been like a great fit with what the Concussion Foundation wanted to do. Things we were already doing as far as our athletic trainer, Michelle Kelly at the high school, has done a phenomenal job in the city with concussion awareness and education within the school district in Somerville. And so she had already kind of done a lot of the preliminary and foundational work for this project. And so this fit with them was a natural fit. So the goal really is that we are promoting awareness and education and about the seriousness of concussions and head injuries for our youth athletes. So the policy is really to make sure that every coach, parent, and volunteer is aware of what a concussion is, how to recognize the signs of concussions, and how to take appropriate actions to safeguard the safety of our children. So this is really a citywide initiative, and it's really just, again, the importance of educating and making sure everyone's aware of the dangers of head injuries for our children. We're all invested with this project. Somerville really is going to be a model city for concussion awareness, and just the incredible support that we have from our mayor, who wholeheartedly believes in this initiative and what we're doing. So for us, this is really exciting for us in the City of Somerville and our youth, and look forward to continuing working with our leagues and our parents and our volunteers.
Dr. Freeman from Cambridge Health Alliance also noticed recent trends in youth concussion. A reporter from Somerville Neighborhood News sat down with Dr. Freeman and talked about common knowledge of concussion.
So when parents come to see me bringing their children with concussions, many of them are concerned about the long-term effects for it, how long it will take the symptoms to resolve. The majority of patients concussion symptoms will resolve after 2 weeks. 90% of people will be asymptomatic and back to sports at 1 month. The difficult thing is there's no distinct blood test that we can do, no distinct imaging study that we can do to confirm when a patient is healed from a concussion. So that's why it's very important to have the child rest from both physical and mental activities. I'm a new parent myself, and I go back and forth if I would let my son play football. There's obviously risk of concussion from even everyday activities, but certainly there's a higher association in sports. There's been an increased diagnosis of concussions, or more so hospital visits for concussions. For example, in the decade of the 2000s, there was a 62% increase in hospital visits for concussions in people younger than age 19. Now, part of this is due to an increased youth sports, but also probably an increased awareness of concussions and diagnosis.
For Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Jenny Fang.
As of December 15th, marijuana is legal in the state of Massachusetts. But before you go off and get yourself into too much trouble, here is a simplified list of what you can and cannot do according to the current law. You can possess as much as 10 ounces of marijuana in your primary residence, but you cannot possess marijuana if you are less than 21 years old. You can grow up to 12 plants per household, but you cannot purchase or sell marijuana. You can buy marijuana-related accessories, but you cannot have more than 1 ounce of marijuana on your person. And lastly, you can gift someone up to 1 ounce of marijuana, but you cannot smoke or ingest marijuana in public. Once again, this is a simplified version. For more details, please visit mass.gov. On Saturday, December 3rd, a colossal 10-alarm fire spread across several homes in East Cambridge. Fortunately, there were no fatalities and only one minor injury. Nick Schweitzer gives us that report.
On Saturday, December 3rd, at around 1:30 p.m., 2 explosions were heard by neighbors at 3537 Berkshire Street, which was undergoing construction at the time. According to Michael Workman, a man who lived across the street, the house was stripped down for renovations, which had been going on for months. From there, video by Brett Boston, an MIT student, shows the fire spreading across the street due to the high winds, taking out power lines with it. This tweet by Michael Workman shows the fire from his house before he evacuated. Firefighters blamed the strong wind at the time for helping to spread the fire so widely and so quickly. In total, 16 buildings were either damaged or destroyed by the blaze. The wind was so strong that meteorologist Mike Wakeham of WCVB shows the smoke plumes traveling as far as Marshfield, 34 miles south. Facebook activated its safety check feature, one of the rare times it has done so in the United States. Luckily, there was only one casualty, a house cat, something Assistant Fire Chief Jerry Mahoney calls, quote, nothing short of a miracle. The most people displaced was from St. Patrick's Place, a former Catholic church turned into an affordable housing complex. Here, about 50 people lived. Now they, along with around 130-plus people, are displaced, staying at hotels, with the Red Cross, at shelters, or with friends. According to Assistant Fire Chief Mahoney, he estimates a, quote, low-ball estimate of 10 to 15 million in damage. But the fire didn't just affect those displaced. According to Eversource, the fire caused a widespread blackout affecting 1,659 people in the area. Eversource teams were on scene making repairs, and by Sunday morning, only 50 customers didn't have power. In the video shot by Brett Boston, you can see the power lines being fried and sparking as they fail. The cause of the fire is still unknown, but it is generally agreed upon by officials that it began at the construction site. Permits were filed by various companies. 9 in total were filed, with 8 being issued, and 1, a trench excavation, still pending review. Asbestos removal, gas and sewer link-ups, and construction were all permitted, amongst other work. Because an inspection as to the cause of the fire is still underway, it is difficult to pinpoint one single actor as the culprit, but we will be following this story going forward, and we will give you updates in a future episode. Until then, if you would like to help, a GoFundMe has been created to assist those displaced by the fire. If you would like to donate, go to gofundme.com/Cambridge Mayor's Fire Relief Fund. For SSN, I'm Nick Schweitzer.
Our thoughts are with those affected by the fire. please consider any contribution to assist our Cambridge neighbors. Local education nonprofit Sprout & Co. recently received a $10 million grant to build a super school in Somerville. The school will be called Powderhouse Studios and will utilize a unique educational model featuring year-round project-based learning. SCATV's own teen interns, Ben Bortner and Desi Feldman, spoke with the Sprout & Co. co-founder, Alec Resnick, about the school.
Powderhouse Studios. It's a new school in Somerville. But other than that, not much information is known to the public. So we sat down with Alec Resnick, who is one of the people in charge of the whole project, to uncover some more information.
I'm Alec Resnick with Powderhouse Studios in Sprout.
What's your story? How did you get into this?
So I've been working at a small nonprofit called Sprout, just outside Davis Square for the past 8-9 years or so. I started with a couple of friends of mine after we met at MIT. So I was doing a small startup doing electromechanical design for educational tools and toys. 4 years ago, the mayor approached us about this idea of opening up a new school to kind of expand some of the programming that we've done and find some ways of working more closely with the public school system. And I'd say the two maybe biggest differences are, one, a lot of the school's designed to support people in coming up with their own projects and working on projects of their own design for most of their time. So in contrast to a traditional school where you're mostly thinking in terms of classes, even if you do projects in those classes, you're thinking about like your math class or your English class or whatever. We're thinking more in terms of supporting individuals working on larger and larger scale projects of their own design, even if those projects cut across many disciplines or don't necessarily look like a traditional academic class. The other big difference is that it's very small and kind of very intimate. So you would be coming in a class of 30 to 40 people, and it'd be mixed ages across, so there aren't grade levels. And you'd be staying with those 30 to 40 people for the full 4 or 5 years that you'd be with us. You also stay with the same staff who are working with you, but the staff aren't broken down by subject either. So like in a traditional school, you might have a math teacher or a science teacher, and with Powderhouse Studios, instead you have a team of 3 core staff that are sticking with you. And in addition to whatever academic background they might bring, they're individually responsible for helping people to manage projects, develop curricula, and develop new seminars and projects that people can work on, and doing kind of social work, so bringing in support for all the non-academic things that might affect somebody. Those 3 people are helping you design and execute larger and larger projects over the course of the years that you're with us. And all the stuff that a high school is normally responsible for in terms of what might show up on a transcript or passing the MCAS, or maybe if you're taking the SAT, things like that, we still do. As you're working on these bigger and bigger projects over time, staff are working with you to map those things retrospectively back onto standards. So after you finish a project, you say, great, now that I've done this project, what do I have evidence that I've kind of covered or learned? Instead of a teacher thinking about how do I teach this bit to these 20 or 30 people, they're instead thinking sometime in the next few months, this one person should do a project that touches on X or Y or Z. So there's a lot more flexibility. If somebody decides to go to college, we'll generate a custom transcript that, for all intents and purposes, looks like a traditional transcript, but it'll also be accompanied by a very extensive project portfolio. Because we have flexibility in our scheduling, it starts at 10 a.m. instead of 8 and 7:30 a.m. And it runs till 5 p.m., but it's open year-round. So there are a lot of kind of implementation details are different. When somebody decides to go to college, the staff then sit down and go through a very time-intensive process of reviewing all of the people's projects, all of that student's projects, and the mapping that I was mentioning earlier that connects their projects back to traditional standards and generates a custom transcript. So the transcript that comes out will look pretty normal, even if you didn't actually take a biology class, but you did a bunch of projects that covered the majority of what you would cover in a traditional biology class, then you would get biology credit. So for us, we really don't want to see anything as extracurricular. So a very concrete example might be, let's say somebody wants to participate in varsity football at the high school, at Somerville High School. So we're not going to be big enough to have a varsity team, right? So somebody would have the option not only to try out for the varsity team, but to then cross-register into Somerville High School and leave our school at, say 2:30 or whenever they need to for practice, and go be on the football team there. And that might also turn into other projects or work that they do related to their interest in football. We're much more interested in finding the stuff that people are interested in and figuring out how you can let somebody spend as much time as possible on it. And we feel like the deeper that you go into the thing, the more you learn of. They're breaking ground next month on the campus, so hopefully it'll be ready by the summer of 2018.
We talked with some students who are currently attending Somerville High, and they gave us their opinion on what they think of Powderhouse Studios.
So I think this school is a great idea. It seems to provide a lot of opportunity to young students who want to do something more than this boring old school, you know?
I feel like the priority of school should be learning in any case, and tests don't really help me learn in general. So I think a project-based school is a good idea.
Project-based learning seems like a really interesting thing.
This new school, it sounds like a good idea, especially for I know there's a lot of kids at Somerville High School that don't really fit within the traditional learning environment.
Project-based learning is like a good way to actually teach us something instead of just stuffing knowledge down our throats.
The hours sound pretty good. I don't like waking up in the mornings. That's something I can say. I do like waking up later.
It seems to get your mind working, with all these fun and cool projects.
A new idea for, again, kids who don't necessarily fit into the traditional learning environment, and it gives them an extra option that doesn't require them to pay lots of money or go to somewhere far away.
Yeah, it generally sounds like a really cool idea. I wish it was around now.
The most fun I have in school is doing projects with my friends and just being creative in terms of learning.
Yeah, I'd definitely go to a school like this. I mean, it seems a lot more fun and creative than the current school I'm going to.
Me personally, I don't know if I would, because I like where I am at Somerville High School, but if Somerville High School wasn't working for me, I probably would consider going to this school.
If I had the chance to go, I would.
Powder House Studios seems to be a very interesting and promising idea, and students seem to be very excited about it. Those of us in Somerville are very eager to see what happens to Powder House Studios. For Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Ben Bortner.
We end this broadcast with a little holiday cheer from SNN's parent organization, SCATV. Throughout December, SCATV has invited local individuals and organizations to come on down to the station and record a holiday greeting. The following is a compilation of those greetings from your neighbors. Let's see if you can spot any familiar faces.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
Have a terrific holiday.
Merry Christmas!
Have a great Happy New Year.
Happy holidays! Then I are sending season's greetings.
From all of us at SCATV and Boston Free Radio, I wish you a very happy holiday season.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
I'm here to wish you and your family good health, happiness, and much joy as you celebrate whatever holidays you celebrate.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays, and happy holidays to Felicia.
And you as well, likewise.
Bye, Felicia.
Happy holidays from Boston Free Radio.
Merry Christmas! Happy New Year!
Merry Christmas to you.
Happy holidays!
Merry Christmas!
Hello and happy holidays.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Ta-da! Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holiday.
Have a good one.
Open up your presents, be careful.
Don't get cold.
Happy holidays from Patrick and Hannah.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
You filthy animals.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
I want to wish you the happiest of holiday seasons and a great, healthy new year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
That's our newscast for tonight. We'll be back on January 24th at 7 p.m. on Channel 3. Check out all our news stories at somervilleneighborhoodnews.org. Somerville Neighborhood News is a community service production of SCATV. We invite you to get involved. Visit our Facebook page, SCATV SNN, to comment. Tweet us at SCATV SNN. Call us at 617-628-8826 or email us at news@scatvsomerville.org. I'm Joe Lynch, wishing you, your family, and friends a happy, healthy, and safe holiday season. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you around the neighborhood.